how to cook the perfect steak. When you spend money on a piece of beef that is so good and so tasty, you don't want to mess it up. We're going to walk you right through how to cook all your steaks, and they come out perfect every time. I do love me some beef, and I love a big old steak too, but I want you to have the most flavor in it. I want it to be oh so tender. And we're going to walk you through that with what kind of wood we need to pair it with, to how to get that steak even more tender than it already is. Whether it's choice or whether it's prime, you want every bite that they get to be the best steak they ever put in their mouth. And also today, I'm going to be using the Pro Temp Plus by Chef's Temp. You know, when you're cooking a steak like this, you want it to be to that perfect doneness, and that Chef's Temp Pro Plus is going to give that to us, and we thank them so much for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about the star of the show, and that is the beef. Look at this. I mean, whew, this is what I call a great piece of beef here. I want to thank the Lazy T Ranch for sending them down here. They precision cut all them steaks, lasered. They are so good. You know, we were up there doing our Wyoming series at that ranch. Great people, and they raise great beef. So let's talk about this ribeye. You see this circle in here? That is the eye of that ribeye. Here's the ribeye cap. It's attached to this long rib bone. Now, it has been French cut, which means they have cut the bone, trimmed the meat off of it. Now, if we took it and got this much bone cut off of it, that would be a cowboy ribeye. That's what we would call it. Or you can just cut it plumb off right here and just have a bone-in ribeye. This feller come in tipping the scales at 2.74. This fella right here was an even up 3-pounder. You know, I'm using the tomahawk today, but you could use a regular ribeye, you could use a New York strip, some folks call them a KC strip, you could use that filet. Hey, this works on any steak that you're going to put on the grill and cook that's got some thickness to it. So I think the first thing we're going to do, and remember, this is prime beef. It don't take much. Lime juice, which y'all have heard me say many times, is a natural tenderizer. Y'all have heard me say it too, hadn't you? I want to thank y'all for participating. So just give it a little rubbing in right there. Let's turn it over and get the other side. And folks, you want to take these out of your fridge and let them begin to warm up. Citric acid breaks down connective tissue in meat, which is going to make meat more tender. Now, this is a big piece of meat. What is the biggest mistake that people do when they're cooking a steak? Under season, overcook. Folks, that's where this is really going to come back in and help us. We're not going to overcook, but we're not going to under season. This is what we call a really thick, which way's the wind blowing? Anybody know? Somebody give me a guess, give me a comment. If you know what it is, you're in pretty good shape.
Here's a tip, because the sun, it's in the morning and the sun is over there.
Yeah, so which way?
That's a lot of math. Let's see if they can figure it out.
That is sort of like pi or square. Make sure you get that fat cap right there all the way around too. We're gonna put this on the counter there, room temp. You don't have to cover them because we need to let that seasoning absorb down in there.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, from the audience?
Yes.
Okay.
We had a caller.
Yes.
Call in. So these are prime.
Yes.
If you were gonna do it with a steak that was like choice or select, would you marinate it longer?
Yes, ma'am. If this was like a 12, 14 ounce steak, if this was choice or select, I would go ahead, lime juice, seasoned same way, and then I would, if we're on a ranch or somewhere, I'd put them in a bag, put them in an ice chest. They would stay in there about 4 hours. Then I would bring them out before cooking time, let them set about an hour to warm up, room temperature, and then you're going to get a more even cook time. But if you're cooking something that's even a grainier, tougher kind of meat, flank, skirt, something like that, you can let them marinate 8, 10 hours like that. It's not going to hurt them. Or you can season them and do it, let them set overnight. You're good to go. You know what makes everything better? Butter. You got to have butter on everything you do. And what are we talking about? Cowboy butter. Or butter? Cowboy butter. We're talking about an herb butter, but I like to cowboy it up. It is, and it's so easy. But folks,
Bacon also makes things better.
yes, and it does, but guess what? In our cowboy butter, there is actually bacon grease.
Oh, there is?
Yes, ma'am.
You're a genius.
Yes. So get the good stuff, and it needs to be softened. And I figure that's about 2 tablespoons of bacon grease. If you got bacon grease and butter, you can live right there.
And so can your arteries.
Yes, that is true. Now, we're gonna have a little thyme to put in there with it. We have something, Shan, that I really like, chives, jalapeno. Now, a lot of you was telling yourself, Cowboy Butter, when he said he was gonna cowboy it up, I bet there was half of you already knew it was gonna have a jalapeno. Turn to the fine side of this.
Why don't you just grate it in the bowl?
Good call, Shan. Now, if you don't want to have the seeds in there, when you get to that part right there, roll it over and start on another side. You do not have to use the whole jalapeno. You don't. It's just whatever you think your heat level is. One gentle tip I'm going to give you right now. This hand that was doing this, do not rub your eyes, pick your nose, or scratch your butt. I guarantee you'll pay for it. We have to have some garlic. Last but not least, the W sauce. It don't take much, folks. There comes that time in my life I have to work with the product that I probably despise the most, and what is it? Some of that there plastic wrap. But maybe the good Lord is shining favor down on me today, and the wind will let up a minute. See, it's already started. You can't even get it out of the box. There we go. Now we're gonna see. Like that. I won today. Try to get this in a middle part of this. Just fold it over. Try to keep it pretty tight, sort of like making sushi. Let me turn it this way so y'all can see it. Bring it over here. You can form it now into whatever shape you want your butter to be in. Give it one of these deals right here. And what you got? Butter. Into the ice box it goes, not ice box, I'm sorry, into the freezer because it's hot. Second most important thing, the fuel, the fire. You know, these are my favorite wood: mesquite, cherry, apple, peach, alderwood. And I only use alder when we're cooking something like fish. But when we're pairing up a good steak with a good hard wood, you're not going to be using no cedar. You're not going to use no pine. You ain't going to burn no paper plates. And I don't want you using briquettes. No, because they got all that artificial stuff in there. And if I catch you using lighter fluid, I'm going to come over. We're going to just take the grill outside, wet it down, and we'll go to Allsup's and get a burrito, because you can't be using that stuff, folks. When you're using mesquite, it can be a little overpowering and be a little harsh if that's all you got on there and you're just letting it constantly smoke and smoke and smoke. It's going to make it a little bitter. Same thing can happen with oak. Same thing can happen with pecan. Use sparingly, then throw you a more mellow wood on there to get that smoke taste. Cherry, apple, peach, whatever you got, and let it burn down till it's about solid white before I ever get over there and we go to cooking. I hear you. I know what you're talking about. You done throw down a lot of cash for these steaks. You don't want to mess it up. You want to make sure that it's cooked to the perfect doneness. Hey, that's why we're using the Pro Temp Plus, because folks, it's going to give me that instant reading. And guess what? It's connected to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Me and the Schnauzer can go in there and sit in the shade in the air conditioner, watch the little phone when it gets to that magic temperature. This has two probes here, a long one and a short one. Now, this longer one, I would probably be using for like a prime rib or something, a big piece of meat. This is great for long cooks, but folks, it'll work for this steak right here too. We're gonna use this short one. Try to find the center of that steak. That's about what we're after. It'll make you a better cook than you already are. Now, for better presentation, I'm gonna wrap them big long bones with some tin foil. It'll give you that bright white color there. They'll get done, but they won't have that smoky char to them. So let's get them wrapped up. And this is your own personal preference. You don't have to do this, but it will look better when it comes off that smoker. I'll meet y'all at the fire. The Legacy is fired up. Everybody is ready to go. We have raked all the coals and the heat to the far end of this grill. This is the direct heat. There's none down here. This is indirect. That's where we're going to start. Let's lay these pretty fellers in there.
Now, if you had a smaller cut, would you still do the indirect?
Yeah, I would still do the indirect, even like if it's a 12 or a 14 ounce New York strip or something like that, because you're going to get to warm it up. So let's get the lid shut. We're going to let that go about 30 to 45 minutes till we get that magical temperature on that probe that notifies me that we're there to about 120 to 125. Now, I'm going to go ahead and throw some cherry wood in there to get us a little more smoky flavor that's going to give that a smoke bath. Y'all might have noticed that we're missing a cast member we have. Hope y'all watched the video that come out last week. We had to say goodbye to the Big, my loyal companion, my best taste tester and culinary advisor, how you always was. Now, we're taking up donations in the Big's honor through the Lincoln County Humane Society. There'll be a link down there below in this video as well to where you can help them out. But also, don't forget about them Big Life t-shirts because we're going to retire them after this. And hey, he's a great dog. I miss him a lot. Check out that video if you hadn't seen it. Well, we reached that temp we did, and I didn't even know it till I got to looking at that deal on the phone. It gives you estimated time of arrival. I love an ETA, I do. That way I can say, how long before we eat? About 25 minutes.
Was it right on the time?
It was right, I'm telling you.
So how long did it take total?
We took 38 minutes to get it to where we wanted to go. So we got there, remember, indirect heat over here. I went ahead and flipped these when they were about, I'll say 110 like that, so they get some heat on the other side. But let's move them down here to the direct heat. They've been on this side, so we're gonna flip them over right down here. You can hear that sizzle. We'll turn this one around to where he's got some love. The probe is still in there. Look here what we got right out of the freezer, folks. Cowboy Butter. Put us another one right here. We're gonna crank up the heat just a little. I'm gonna add me a few little old pieces of mesquite to get that flame to getting up there because I want that to caramelize that meat, sort of just give it that good crispiness on the outside because we know we're right on the inside. Just get that when that butter gets to where it's melting a little, give it a good brushing around. You can use a fork, whatever you want to do, a knife, just get it spread around there to where some of them herbies can go to work there. We're gonna let that run about probably 4 minutes on each side. You know, when I like a steak that is medium rare, that's about, I'd say 135 to 140. That's where I'm gonna target because I'm gonna pull them off about 130, a little over 135. We're gonna set them over and let them rest. They're gonna rise just a little more. 145, you're getting more into the medium, but you go any further than that, you just ruin the steak, folks, because he done died once. We ain't killing him twice, but it's time to flip some meat. Brought these over here. We needed to let that temperature rise just a little more. So how do you do that? Just tin it with aluminum foil. Doesn't have to take long. Probably doesn't take no more than 8 or 10 minutes to reach where you want to be because that steak temperature will rise. So, I cannot wait. That thing cut like butter. Thank the folks at Lazy T for supplying some really good beef. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Big, this is in your honor, my friend. Major, that's some good stuff. Might be one of the best steaks I ever eaten in my life, Shen. We got everybody? Okay. This is the first cooking video we've done without my Big that I love and miss so much. So we're gonna pay a little tribute to the Big, and we're gonna go by who's been here the longest since the Big is gone. That is the Duker. There you go, Duker. Sadie, you and Mage come pretty close to a tie. So
Mage was first, but
where's Luke? I mean, Mage, good boy. Mage, since you're gonna have to take the place of the Big, hey, you gonna get another bite? Who knocked a home run? The herby butter, the cowboy butter. My gosh, that stuff is good with that jalapeno, the bacon grease, everything. It just complements everything that's going on. Chef's Temp, we couldn't have done it without you. We thank y'all so much. Be sure and check out the discount code down there below. But also, folks, check out other products that they have. They got some great stuff going on. It is with pride, honor, and privilege that I tip my hat to all the servicemen and all the women that have kept that old flag flying over camp. We commend you all. Rest of you, get on up in here. I'm gonna hug you on one side with a big old piece of meat. God bless you each and every one, and I'll see you down the Best Steak Trail.